Welcome to our October 27th edition of Golden Black Live, joined by Tom Dienhart. We'll get to Tom, and then also Ken Halpin, Purdue's Deputy Athletic Director, will join us, and Brian Newbert will talk Purdue, Arkansas basketball, and the Boilermakers head off to an exhibition game this weekend, or this Saturday, I should say, tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern. But I want to thank our sponsors, XXX, on the hill but on the level, the Purdue tradition since 1929. And of course, State Farm agent Trent Johnson at trentismyagent.com. All right, Tom, always interesting when Purdue and Nebraska meet. They've had some close games in Ross-Ade Stadium. They've had Purdue's had success, obviously winning there in 2018 and 2021. When you look at tomorrow's matchup, what do you see in terms of those must-haves for Purdue if they're going to get out of Lincoln alive?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, Alan. Neither offense is really clicking at a high rate right now. So it may be that simple. Which one of these offenses can really maybe get some momentum going, hit some big plays in particular? Purdue, I think, is going to find it hard to run against this Nebraska defense.
Yeah.
They're number 4 in the country against the run. I know Maccabee's playing well. Tyrone Tracy should be back, but still, the yards could be hard to come by on the ground. So, Purdue may have to go through the air, and that's a vulnerable Nebraska secondary. Now, can Hudson Card, Deion Burks, and everybody take advantage of that, hit some big plays down the field? That's going to be key. And, for Nebraska, sort of the same thing. They're more of a ground-oriented offense. Their quarterback is a big guy who likes to run it. Purdue's probably going to have to try to make him pass the ball, and can he pass the ball and hit some big plays? So that's probably the key for both teams if they want to win, I think. Can the offense get some big plays, especially in the pass game?
Injuries are always a part of football, as you always say, at this time of year, by definition. Nebraska's got some real issues on its offensive line. Purdue does as well, though maybe there may be some opportunities in the last 2 weeks for some repair there. But talk about that. I mean, Nebraska over history has been known for its great line play on the offensive side. Not the case right now in Matt Rule's first season, as much as anything to do with injury. Is that a big storyline also for Saturday, do you see?
Yeah, Nebraska hasn't had a good offensive line in 25, 30 years.
Yeah.
Go back
to
Dean Steinkühler and Aaron Taylor.
Yeah.
All those guys. But yeah, they've struggled in a lot of different facets of their football program. But yeah, they're down 3 offensive linemen. 3 starters are out, 2 of them for the season. They're down 3 of their top 4 receivers. They're at least one of their best running backs is out as well. So they really can sing the injury blues if they want. Now, the guys stepping in on the offensive line aren't total greenhorns.
Yeah.
But they weren't starting for a reason. So there's a step down there as far as ability goes. So can Purdue make Nebraska pay for that? And will that impact that strong Husker ground game? That's going to be the key, I think. So, Purdue's offensive line you talked about. I think it sounds like Musa may play. There's a good chance he's going to suit up on Saturday, the number 1 left tackle, which would be good news for Purdue. Otherwise, they should have the same group out there that they had against Ohio State. So they're going to have to get a push, like I said, try to protect Card and get whatever running room they can for Devin Maccabee, who I said earlier, Alan, has really, really found his stride the last 3 games, coming off a 110-yard effort against Ohio State.
Yeah, he had his breakout game last year in a lot of ways, 178 yards against the Cornhuskers, a defense that's a little bit different under Matt Rule than maybe how it was under Scott Frost. Talk about it's an interesting storyline between 2 coaches that are in their first year. And obviously Matt Rule, you've documented that this week, comes with a pedigree of being at places, 2 college stops and 1 NFL stop, and against a first-year coach in Ryan Walters. Talk about that. And of course, Ryan Walters has no love lost for Nebraska just because of his Colorado roots. Interesting storyline there. But there's a story to be told between those 2 coaches on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, each are in their first year at their respective jobs, but with much different resumes, obviously, Alan. You talked about Matt Rule. He's kind of like you and I. He grew up in State College, PA, sort of as a university kid. walked on at Penn State as a linebacker and actually played a little bit.
Yeah.
That has had a pretty high rise in his coaching career pretty quickly, right? Coached at Temple, head coach there, and head coach at Baylor before getting the job with the Carolina Panthers. So his resume is pretty impressive, Alan. And of course, this is Ryan Walters' first chance to be a head football coach. And he's sort of still learning on the job, if you will. And, Ryan mentioned they had crossed paths in the past. It was 2014 when Matt Rule was the head coach at Temple and Ryan Walters was coaching cornerbacks at Memphis. They played in Philadelphia, and the Owls won that one 16-13. That was a long time ago, but they have crossed paths, been on the same field before. And again, these first-year coaches are always measured against themselves. Matt Rule, they got some momentum out there, Alan, with their 4-4. Hard to believe they have not been to a bowl game since 2016 at Nebraska. Just incredible. And we'll see what Walters can do. We know he's still sort of finding his ways. They're 2-5. And for all intents and purposes, this is a must-win game if Purdue wants to get a bowl, Alan, because they go to Michigan next, and then they got Minnesota, Northwestern, and Indiana. So probably not going to win in Ann Arbor, which makes this game one Purdue's going to have to win if it wants to get to 6 victories.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's what's going to be an interesting thing because Nebraska has been maligned even this year when getting beat by a lot by Colorado. This is a team that kind of looked like it turned itself around by that win against Illinois on the road. But they got smoked by Michigan at home too. So that's what's going to be, I think, is a fascinating storyline. Is Nebraska's closer. Matt Rule may be deemed as a kind of a hero if they can get themselves to 6-7 wins by the time the season's over. And that's why I think Saturday's game is so important. For Purdue, the expectations, you talk about obviously the Michigan game looms. Purdue will be a several touchdown underdog in that game, guaranteed. Yeah. But the fact that there's no margin for error, when you look at it's now starting to be time to evaluate where Purdue is, and maybe this is a game. Maybe it'd be better to evaluate it after this game against Nebraska. But what are reasonable expectations? Because of the games you have left, you do have games that you're going to, 4 of those 5 games that you should be in. Probably not realistic to expect or that they're going to win them all, but they're going to have a chance. But how do you, as you see the Ryan Walters era unfold? What is your evaluation tool as you look at the way this 2023 season comes to a close?
When the season began, I thought 6-6. If they got to 6-6, made it to a bowl game, I thought that could be deemed a success. Yeah. And most people probably would have thought the same. The big key, of course, was getting off to a good start in September when they had 4 or 5 games in Ross-Ade Stadium. And of course, that didn't happen. Did not start as anticipated. Went 2-3 in September. The home losses to Fresno State and Syracuse in particular were ones that are going to continue to hurt Purdue, I think, and kind of put them behind the 8 ball right away. And they really has them in this predicament right now, this must-win predicament as they head to Lincoln, Nebraska. So, yeah, and then I think 5-7, 6-6, 7-5. That 3 record range sort of seemed to be where Purdue probably was going to fall. 7-5 best case, 5-7 worst case, and here we are, Alan. I mean, it looks like 7-5's not possible, but I guess it still is if they can win out, but still 6-6, 5-7 are more likely, Alan. So I guess even at 5-7, if you'd have told me that was going to be Purdue's record back in August, I would have had no issue disagreeing with you. But again, I just thought there was that opportunity if they could have got off to a good start in September for them to at least get to that 6-win level. If things really got clicking, maybe get to 7 wins, but that hasn't happened. And here we are, and they're trying to salvage this season and finish with some momentum here.
All right, Nebraska, you've been to many, if not all, the Big Ten venues at one point in your professional life. Nebraska still amazingly remains one of them. I mean, there'll be a sellout crowd in Memorial Stadium. I would assume they don't have a no-show issue. They'll have people showing up. And I know the weather, at least as a last look, was going to be somewhat marginal. But my point is, what a great environment they have. And that's kind of what I look at Purdue and say, boy, in a different scale, you've got a little bit of that environment, not the sellout streak, certainly, but certainly people coming to games, excited about Purdue football to a point so far, despite the 41-7 loss to Ohio State. Talk about that, just that challenge of winning in that environment, and yet Purdue has done that here the last 2 times under Jeff Brom.
Yeah, last 2 times I was out there, they won. Nice. It's hard to win there. Like you said, Alan, it's one of just a great venue. Number one, I always respect the passion of those fans. Yeah, unwavering support, win or lose. It's just incredible. It's almost uncommon. And unique, almost just uniquely Nebraska. They got such pride in that school and that program, not just the football program, but every sports program at Nebraska. They treat their athletes like cult heroes almost. And it's like you said, it's a great venue. It's a great city. I think Lincoln's one of my favorite Big Ten cities to visit. It's a great vibe downtown in the Haymarket area. And they're going to come cheer for the opponent, but they'll cheer louder for of course their Huskers. And I talked to some of the players this week about going on the road, and some of them like it. It's that us against the world mentality. They can kind of circle the wagons and try to quiet 80,000, 90,000 people. And it's sort of fun if you can do that as a player, I'm sure. So, they'll get Nebraska's best punch. The Huskers think they can win, Al. They're about a 3-point favorite last I checked. The over-under is about 39 points, so probably going to be a low-scoring game according to Vegas and the odds makers. Maybe Allen, the first team to 21 wins this thing. That would be my guess. You talked about the temperatures, the weather. Probably, I guess, in the 40s. It's going to be the coldest Purdue's played in this year. Same for Nebraska. Maybe some rain. So that could sort of muck up the works as well. So there's going to be plenty of challenges for Purdue to get out of there with the win and bring it back to West Lafayette. We'll see if they can do it.
Yes, as of this recording, 40 degrees, about a 20% chance of rain, but it's October football weather, and that shouldn't be a deterrent to where Purdue is. All right, Tom, have safe travels to Lincoln. We'll look forward to your coverage on goldenblack.com and much more as Purdue tries what would be an extremely important victory if Coach Ryan Walters and company can get the job done in Nebraska. Stay tuned. We'll be back in a couple minutes as Ken Halpin joins us. Purdue's deputy athletic director, has been in West Lafayette for a couple of years, kind of in charge of all of the external relations for Purdue athletics, and always a good guy to talk to. Tom, thanks again. Safe travels, and we'll see you in 2 minutes. The rest of you will see you in 2 minutes on Golden Black Live.